Hey guys, Ellen here, transformation coach, helping women break free from the mundane and create their ideal dream life. I wanted to jump on and talk to you guys about how you receive and accept feedback today. Because it's really just an important topic. So how you receive feedback is a direct reflection on you as a person and on where your heart is at, okay? So if you're a person who finds it really difficult to receive feedback, who gets very defensive, who gets very frustrated with feedback and offended by people giving you constructive professional feedback, then I'm going to suggest that maybe you have a bit of an ego problem going on, and that self-reflection is not something that you're comfortable with. So when I first started my journey, I really struggled with accepting feedback. I really got defensive and argumentative, and I really wasn't comfortable with looking in the mirror and taking a look at myself and going, you know what, that's true, and I actually really need to apply that. But as I went on my journey, as I healed myself emotionally, and as I started to grow as a person and heal myself, what I found was the more that I looked in the mirror and the more that I looked at, how can I show up as my best self and what changes can I make in order to show up as my best self in this world, then feedback became something that I actually started to seek out, okay? And so I'm not talking about people giving, rude feedback. I'm talking about people giving constructive feedback, and that's really helpful, okay? So you need to be comfortable with putting yourself in rooms where you're challenged, where you're encouraged to look within, where you're encouraged to take feedback on board and self-reflect and apply that to your life and to grow. Personal development is not in reading the books. It's not in watching the YouTube shows. It's not in listening to the podcast. The personal development is taking what you learn from those things and actually physically applying it, actually mentally applying it, actually changing your behavior, changing your patterns, changing your habits, applying the things that you're learning in order to become better. That's personal development, and that's where the real growth and develop happens. And so when we're looking at feedback, if we're constantly deflecting and looking at what other people are doing and deflecting all of the feedback, but what about them, and but you did this, if that's the way that we take feedback, then we're not going to grow as a person. We're stagnant as a person, and we're not prepared to own our part. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to actually think about how you take on feedback and actually start to accept it and analyze it and assess it and reflect on it and sit with it for a while, and then take a real long hard look at yourself and go, do you know what, and decide whether it's meaningful feedback that you need to take on board, whether there's some truth to it, because there probably actually is, otherwise the person wouldn't be saying it. And then actually look at what you can do in order to make a change, in order to apply that feedback to learn and grow, and to then show up as your absolute best self, okay? Because we none of us are perfect. Every single one of us is working on something. We all have something to work on, because when there's no perfect person out there. So we can use each opportunity to learn and to grow and to do better. And what that does is it sets the standard, and then it raises the standard, and then we just continue to show up as our absolute best self. But if we're closed to feedback, and if we refuse to accept feedback, and if we only accept feedback from certain people, then that's an ego problem, and then that's something that we have to work on as well. And if you're finding that this video is offensive, then maybe that's a sign for you that there's some work for you to do there, okay? I'm just going to leave that with you. I want to encourage you to like this video. I want to encourage you to follow along, and I want to encourage you to share it if you think it's meaningful and valuable.